nice, and then when he tries to be like a hardcore boss, he tells Anthony LaPaglia, he's like, get your spaghetti bending butt back to Milan. What is that?
I love that
Get
line.
your spaghetti bending butt back to Milan. And he said something. What a great bit, right? Oh man, I love that scene. And I also like how we establish how he isn't good with we're going back to Mike Myers, Charlie, about how he isn't good with women. But I kind of love that, you know, with the one girlfriend's a thief. He doesn't know where his cat is. He says Jill was in the mafia, La Cosa Nostra. And then he said Pam smelled like soup.
You know, it's funny when I remember that line, I was like, you know, I've met people a lot like that. They smell like soup. And you're like, I don't think you've eaten soup lately.
Yeah.
And you're just like, why do you smell like soup?
He's just a guy who is afraid of commitment.
I think that's where the horror of it lies. Because I read an interview with Mike Myers from 2005, where he said that that's where the horror of the movie lies with him, was that his character is afraid of commitment. So is why is her name escaping?
Nancy Travis.
Exactly. That's where the horror of it is that they both are afraid to commit.
Harriet. Harbinger bung of haggis.
Unlove Ed.
This poem.
I love that because I was like, that was pretty accurate. A lot of the like beat poetry.
Oh,
and some of the...
I got to ask you this. So Mike Myers meets her, and she knows karate. She knows only you in 7 languages, and she's had 3 husbands disappear on her wedding night. Why does she keep changing her name? And why do cops? Does that make does she know her sister's in on it?
She has to know that her sister. Remember, because then she knows that her sister's in on it. So she changes the name so that the police don't figure out that it's them, and they just keep moving around. Because I guess back in the 90s and everything, before the internet, people could do things like that, and it would be hard to trace them.
Or did she try to escape San Francisco, and her sister keeps following her and killing people, and then she can't? Is she trying to protect her sister?
I think she's trying to protect her sister because she really does love her, but she is hoping that when she sees that she has found a good person, that her sister won't kill them. I mean, you got to imagine the guys that she was with before that. I mean, I don't know much about the karate instructor. Probably was like an okay guy, but maybe she didn't like the plumber. The lounge singer probably was a terrible guy. Just
thank you. Next on it,
you never see too many love stories about lounge singers except for Beyond the Sea.
Thank you. Tip your waitress. You. I am a lounge singer. Who's that guy?
Only you. You make my
lounge lizard. But they don't spend any time on it.
They kind of briefly wash over that, but I think the more focus would just be on the comedy, and I think that they wanted people to more focus on that. Obviously, they wanted the audience to believe that Harriet was the killer.
Yeah.
So they put a strong focus on that. But then I guess does the other characters really matter? Not really.
How do they live in such a giant house or loft in San Francisco? And how does she own a butcher shop?
I pointed this out when I was watching it. I was like, there's no way in hell that would exist. I mean, she's a butcher shop. She works in a butcher shop. She owns this banging ass apartment.
I mean, her butcher shop's busy, but she just went back to it, right?
Well, it ain't that busy.
Yeah.
Give it that.
I mean, that in San Francisco is crazy expensive.
Oh, yeah.
It's nuts.
Yeah, God, Jesus.
And traffic is murderous. I don't know what I'm talking about there. Lampshades.
That traffic is murderous. Now back to Mark in the Morning.
Welcome back. So, triple homicide this morning. It was hilarious.
They were all done by axe murderers. One was a plumber. The other one...
karate instructor and a lounge lizard. Now the weather. It's gonna rain.
The first time this year. I saw a few clouds, but I wasn't expecting it to happen.
Traffic? Horrible. Is that it?
Someone's dancing on the freeway.
That sounds like a song. That sounds like a Bruce Springsteen song.
Oh my God. I was dancing on the freeway.
Courtney Cox is with him.
Oh, God.
Wait, that's Dancer in the Dark?
I think I'm the only person on the planet that doesn't really like Bruce Springsteen.
That's a Bjork movie, isn't it?
Dancer in the Dark?
Yeah.
Sounds like something she would have done.
That's a Lars Von Trier film.
That sounds like a movie he definitely would have done.
Have you seen Melancholia?
I'm afraid to watch that movie. I know Antichrist ruined my weekend.
Yeah, that was not good.
That was not a good... Because a friend of mine was really trying to get me into Lars Von Trier. He was like, he's the greatest.
Melancholia isn't like those, though.
I mean, it sounds like it's going to destroy my month.
It's depressing. But they use phantom cameras and super slow motion, beautiful cinematography. So while it'll crush your soul and put you in a headlock and then kick you in the nards and then drop you down a roof and plumb you like Mike Myers had on.
You're not selling this movie to me.
But afterward, like when it's all better, you're just going to be like, it was worth it. Does that make sense?
It's kind of like when you watch
Mighty Ducks
Requiem
2?
for a Dream. Yeah, Mighty Ducks 2.
I'll never watch that movie again.
No, I've seen it twice, and that was about the most I could ever handle in my lifetime.
I saw it, 2002, and I can still replay the whole thing in my head.
I saw it in college, and I was like...
Are movies
why?
ever like that? We just remember everything about them?
Certain films, I think ones that hit a nerve with you, you can probably do that. Like, I mean, when I saw The Evil Dead for the first time, it definitely... I could remember everything about that. And then East of Eden, I think, would be another one.
Exit to Eden?
Ugh, yeah, that movie. Who wants to see a movie about Rosie O'Donnell as a dominatrix undercover cop?
The 90s, man.
Starring Dan Aykroyd as well.
I got that on Columbia House. But yeah, so good.
It wasn't available on BMG.
How about this? Let's take a break. We have a lot more to talk about. We have a lot more to unpack. And when we come back, we'll talk more So I Married an Ex-Murderer. Welcome back to Movies, Films, and Flicks. And Chris, what I really want to do is I want to talk about the cornucopia, the plethora of amazing supporting actors in this movie. But I want to recreate a scene where Anthony LaPaglia's character Tony tries to commandeer a car to go save Michael Myers from Harriet. And he meets Charles Grodin. You ready for this?
No.
All right. Okay. Excuse me, sir. I'm with the San Francisco Police Department. This is official police business. I would like to commandeer this vehicle.
No.
What do you mean, no?
I happen to know for a fact that you don't have the right to commandeer my vehicle.
Please? Can I commandeer this vehicle?
No.
You're just not gonna bend on this commandeering thing, are you?
No. That was a great scene. I love that moment with Charles Grodin, because when he popped up on the screen, I was like, ah!
Yeah.
Like, yeah, because like he did a lot of like roles, but he wasn't like he was a thing, but you know,
Yeah.
just kind of like neat and cheeky to see him like, there he is.
And then he's like, can you stay around here because I might have to arrest somebody and take him back? And he just drives away.
He's like, what the hell's with that guy?
Would you stop doing that? And then also the pilot played by
he's
Stephen
like
Wright.
tapping on his
Yeah. Would you stop doing that? He's like, oh, this bothers you?
No.
But also Stephen Wright, correct, is in this, and he's really funny. And he's like, when do you think we'll get there? He's like, soon, but I have no concept of time. He's like, have you done this before? Well, I've never done it at night. And then he falls asleep. Like, he's such a weird little character. And I also love Phil Hartman. And
Phil Hartman, folks around here call me Vicky. And there's no explanation why.
My name's John Johnston, but everyone calls me Vicky. And then they're like, Vicky's great. Yeah, he's the best.
Yeah.
And
he tells that story with the Al Capone. He's like, they took out his eyeballs, and then they all took turns peeing on him.
Yeah,
Like,
and it was ocular cavities.
And they break into a conversation. So then, yeah, with Harriet, and he's like,
I want that gif. I don't care if it's a gif or gif, but when he interrupts Phil Hartman, the look that Phil Hartman gives him, I want. And also, hey guys, all right, I need someone to do me a favor. In the movie Wanderlust, right? There's a scene where Ken Marino's character's in his house, and Paul Rudd says something sassy to him, and Ken Marino just freaks out. He's like, "In my house, in my house," and he starts running around shaking like the Hulk. If you can get me a gif of that. Because I don't know how to do it, because I'm still in the 20th century. But if you can do that for me from Wanderlust, you'll be my best friend. Just anybody out there who's listening.
You could probably do that on an app. I know, yeah, right? Like, I just recently downloaded the Hulu app, and I was blown away. I was like, oh my god, I can watch Annihilation?
On my phone?
On my phone? Like, I was completely oblivious to this.
Yep. Alex Garland might hate you, though.
Well,
but you've already seen it on the big screen.
Hey, yeah. That was a dynamite movie.
So good. One of my favorite movies of last year.
When I went to go see that, I brought a friend of mine, and she didn't understand it. And I was like, she left, and then she said she was going to the bathroom, and then came back after like 20 minutes, and she was like, this movie's so boring. And I was like, you're clearly an idiot. I'm trying to watch this great, fantastic film.
And I love how after he talks about peeing into a guy's ocular cavities, Vicky just goes, this way to the cafeteria. And then, so you have these really great supporting characters that you like. And then I also like the guy at the hotel. So Mike Myers and Nancy Travis are on their honeymoon. And she's like, I got a headache. I got to go to the bathroom. And the guy at the desk looks at Mike Myers and goes, do you really think she has a headache? But and then Debbie Mazur has a funny line where they're like, what would be better? You eat a sandwich and get a Band-Aid, and they're saying all these gross things.
Yeah.
And then Debbie
you get
Mazur,
struck by lightning.
Yeah. You get electrocuted. Yeah.
I mean, no, it was terrible. It's happened to me.
It was bad. Yeah, and then she's like, I guess you had to be there.
Yeah.
But no, this movie's really fleshed out. And the mom, Brenda Fricker, the dad, I mean, the little kid, he's hilarious. I mean, with his, orange on a toothpick and like looking like Sputnik. But
I read an interview with him. He said people thought that they were a little too harsh on him. I guess looking back at it now, you know how they always 25 years later, how do you feel about it now? And he's like, I didn't really care. I turned 16, so I was on a movie set with, comedians when I was 16. I didn't care. And they were like, well, we really wanted this interview to be something. Yeah, he was just like, I just kind of walked around and ate chocolate.
I was in San Francisco walking around. But I mean, the dad was a drunk. And obviously the guy hammered a bunch of beers.
Oh, yeah.
And I like when he yells at Mike Myers at the end of it. And he's like, you've been here for your hour. Like, so I guess he only stays for an hour. And then Brenda Fricker just starts making out with Tony. And she's like, ooh, you grew up a sexy fella, didn't you? And he didn't expect that. In an interview, I think it was with Slate, she just jumped him. And,
I mean, he looks like he's definitely surprised.
Yeah. And then she's like, oh, you grew up to be a wee sexy fella, didn't you? She's so good when she's explaining Mrs. X, which is the nickname for I guess
she read in the paper.
Yeah, Amanda Plummer's person. I love her though, and I love that point that she makes. They're like, well, this is all fake news. She's like, yeah, but it's the 8th highest circulated thing in the world. But her line reading, just that scene where she looks at baby bat born from woman. That's a fact. But the way she reads it is gold. How she does that.
She really believes.
I love Brenda Fricker, man, because she's great, funny in this movie, and I liked Stuart, Mike Myers' dad. I thought he was funny. I mean, he was. Yeah, it was good. It didn't feel shoehorned in.
Roger Ebert said that this movie was a real comedy film. Disguised as a good comedy film disguised as a bad comedy film.
Hey.
Or within it was a bad comedy film. I forget what the exact quote was, but he said that the bad comedy was the movie that we have. The good comedy was The Parents.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's just its solid goal. He's like, he was saying that he wanted to see a movie about that. Which I can go either way. I think it would get burned out pretty quick, but it was definitely a great little
I love those too.
ad. Yeah, it's fun.
Why would Mike Myers be afraid of commitment though? Because, his parents argue and they yell at each other, but they obviously love each other. They've been together for 30 years. They know how to deal with each other. So why is he afraid of commitment?
Maybe because he's going through his Jack Kerouac thing, and he's just kind of like, it might be a little bit of that. I mean, there's no real talking about that, but it's like, it seems like he's going through the beatnik hipster thing.
Yeah.
That was like the rebirth in the early 90s, which was from the 50s. And they're like, oh, well, we got to learn to just be with each other, and like, we can't just tie ourselves down with one person. And maybe that's kind of where it goes, but
and he
does have some legit excuses for not liking his other girlfriends. I mean, being in the mob.
She was just unemployed.
Yeah.
Well, she had to get money from somewhere.
Yeah, right? The one stole his cat.
Yeah, I mean, that's game over.
She broke my heart and stole my cat.
And he's probably popular.
Jody.
So in 91, 92, he's kind of the hip thing. So I bet you ladies are liking him because of his poetry.
Yeah. He's probably getting a lot of ladies.
He's like the one guy who could swing dance. In like 96.
And he still has a
when swingers came out, when the swing became popular for 6 months, that guy cleaned up.
I love it when when I did a commercial before, I was talking to a guy who was like 23, and he was like telling me about how he loved the 90s and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, did you know that like in the 90s there was a big swing revival? He's like, what? He's like, yeah, for like a good year, swing was like a full blown comeback. Some of those bands are still performing and are still really good.
Swingers made it cool though.
It did. I loved it. I watched that movie again for the first time in almost a decade the other day, and it's still fantastic.
Heather Graham is super likable in that movie. You can see how she got a bunch of roles. Also, that phone call scene where he calls the lady from The Replacements 18 times and leaves messages. That's so uncomfortable.
Oh, God. And he shoots it just like in like Taxi Driver, where you don't actually see him the entire time because it's so painful to watch him just beating himself up. And then she's just like, hey, don't call me again.
Yeah. And that was such a good score for him, too. He was so happy about that.
I love Vince Vaughn, too. A young Vince Vaughn.
Yeah, young.
He said in the movie, he says that he's 24.
And Favreau was all ripped up in this one, too.
Yeah.
Now he looks like a big, mafia don.
Yeah. With curly hair.
Yeah.
Somehow he got this really massive curly hair. I don't know.
But, I mean... Yeah, so Mike Myers was probably a popular beatnik guy.
Speaking of hair, what about Mike Myers' hair? He had the classic bowl cut.
The natural, that's his hair, right?
That's like the natural, that was the look in the 90s. Remember, everybody had that bowl cut, parted in the middle. I know I did.
I had a bowl cut.
Everybody did. It was cool.
No, I read something cool about from Den of Geek. They're like, this isn't a deep film, only that it has an interesting point to make where humor comes from. And it also makes you think about how hard it is to let down your guard with someone and